Thank you, President. It is with great and deep sadness that I rise to speak on this motion as well, but it is also my honour. It was my honour to have known Senator Gallacher, to have served by his side in this place, and to have called him and his beautiful wife, Paola, my friends. Like all of us in this place, we are each the product of our life experience, but more importantly, we are the product of those who we love and those who love us in return. And the things we do here, the things we hope to achieve, and in Alex's case certainly did achieve, belong to the people we love and who love us too. And so I want to acknowledge his family and their contribution to everything that Alex was able to do as a senator. I want to make some personal reflections on my relationship with Alex soon, but first I do just want to pay special focus to his legacy and his achievements during his time in the Senate. And Alex, if you're listening, I have to say sorry. I'm going to refer to notes as I do this, and I know you really, really hate senators bringing notes into the chamber. I'm looking at Senator Stoker. I think she fell victim to one of his points of order referring to notes. It was one of the first points of order he referred me to as a young senator, that we are not meant to read from notes in this place. So I am sorry, Alex. Alex knew the importance of staying true to Labor values, the importance of providing Australians a fair go and a better chance for all, as he said. These values drove him throughout his entire career. And whether you sat on these benches or you sat opposite, everyone knew what Alex stood for, everyone knew his values. His first speech outlined what he would fight for as a parliamentarian, and it was clear and direct as Alex was: the transport industry, road safety and superannuation. And his contribution in a policy sense to all of these areas was substantial and unwavering. He brought real-world perspective to this place, but he also brought an incredible intelligence. And his immediate impact on Parliament saw the Labor government bring in the Road Safety Remuneration Tribunal into legislation. This was an objective that Alex, alongside his colleagues and comrades at the TWU, had fought for almost 2 decades. Now, that fight had to continue after a change in government saw that tribunal dismantled. But Alex kept up that fight. In fact, there wasn't a day that he served in this chamber where transport workers, who he had once been, who he served alongside and represented and advocated for his whole career, weren't front of his mind. There was no better friend of transport workers than Alex Gallacher. And of super too. This was one of his passions. He knew the benefits of super, the intrinsic benefits that it could bring to working Australians, its impact on dignity in retirement, its economic benefits to Australia. He was absolutely passionate, and in his last months in the Senate, I know he was also becoming increasingly passionate about the disparity for women in superannuation. And this is a fight I will continue on his behalf. But I think his biggest legacy in this place was his impact alongside his dear mate, Senator Stell, on road safety. And this came from an almost 5-year stint as a director with the Motor Accident Commission that he served on before entering politics. Alex was acutely aware of the devastation to victims and their families, as well as the economic devastation caused by the unnecessary loss of life and catastrophic injuries suffered on our roads. He was deeply disappointed in the progression of the National Road Safety Strategy targets never being met, and he fought incredibly hard to make sure that road safety was on the political map. That included through his work on the Parliamentary Friends of Road Safety. It was very evident in his work as estimates and his push for the government to form the Office of Road Safety within the department. On the 11th of November, the government announced that autonomous emergency braking technology would be mandated in the Australian Design Rule by 2023. This would save 580 lives, avoid tens of thousands of serious and minor injuries, and have a net benefit of close to $1.9 billion. Alex first called for the mandating of this technology in September 2014. He saw the need for this, he fought for it relentlessly until it was achieved. He knew this policy area better than anyone. He believed in it deeply, and he has had an incredible legacy in this space, which will never be forgotten. His committee work too, where he pushed for common sense results. He was true to his principles, and he would advance his views whether or not they aligned with the views of our party, often. The River Murray was a huge passion of Alex's, and one area that he was deeply passionate about policy-wise was the NDIS. He served on the NDIS committee. And I know the issues relating to the NDIS, especially the times that we saw the NDIS not live up to its promise. We saw it fail the people who needed it most. These issues weighed on Alex heavily, and he was incredibly dedicated and focused on how he could use his role on that committee to improve the lives of Australians with disability. He loved our state. He loved his duty electorate of Grey. He travelled there regularly. He never flew in and flew out. When he went to Grey, he wanted to stay. He wanted to be amongst it. And one of the proudest moments he had as a duty member for Grey was when the Elliston Reconciliation Monument was erected after much debate in the town of Elliston, which is almost halfway between Port Lincoln and Ceduna. Alex supported the monument, recognising the massacre of 1849, where the local First Nations people were driven off the cliff, as it's described. Alex considered the official opening as one of his more memorable and important moments as a senator. Alex was a natural at the work he did. He was incredibly focused and incredibly hardworking. He did the reading, he did the work. He never turned up unprepared. He always turned up knowing what he wanted to get out of a hearing, out of his day in Parliament, out of a speech he would give. He never did anything without purpose. And we saw this work ethic, this focus of his so intensely when he was sick, when he refused to slow down, when he refused to step back. He believed in his work. He believed in what he did. And he was determined to continue fighting the fight that he believed in, representing the people he stood for right until the end. I know we've all had different experience of Alex. We've all seen different sides of him, and I'm sure we can all remember moments fondly where we found opportunities for agreement with him, where his gruff exterior faded away and you saw the warmth and the passion beneath. We can probably all also remember now fondly moments where we disagreed with Alex, and you certainly weren't left wondering about Alex's position or what his view was. But Alex gave people a fair hearing always. If you had a good idea, he would listen to you. If you were well-reasoned in your argument, he would listen to you. And he fought for what he believed was right. And I know some of our colleagues may have liked him sometimes to fight a little less loudly, sometimes a little less publicly, but that was Alex. When he was on a mission, when he believed something, he took his role as a public figure seriously, and he fought for that with every tool in his arsenal. Alex was an extremely hard worker, and his career, I think, is best referenced by him himself in his maiden speech when he refers to Theodore Roosevelt, saying, "Far and away the best prize that life has to offer is the chance to work hard at work worth doing." And Alex certainly got that opportunity. He certainly did that. Alex was an extremely private person who loved his family immensely. You never see a bigger smile on his face than when he was talking about Paola, or his kids, and especially his grandchildren. Possibly a smile which would rival it, though, was when he talked about golf, his passion for golf, and a round of golf a week was never enough for him. He also loved to have a punt, and Saturdays were often Saturday morning at the North Adelaide Golf Club, and in the afternoon horse racing. And his staff recalled to me a story, apparently this was before my time, but where there was one Melbourne Cup day and the coalition government scheduled a sitting week which overlapped with the Melbourne Cup. And I hear other senators would have to confirm that there has never been an angrier parliamentarian in this place than Alex Gallacher in that moment. Alex's staff formed a powerful bond with him. And thank you, Senator Sterle, for reading the words of Matthew, who he had a very special bond. And I know Matthew misses him very, very deeply. But his other staff do too. Peter and Matthew both began in Alex's office when Alex began as a senator, and they stayed the course with him. Susie worked with him for 9 years, and Brendan worked with him for 7. Pauline had been there for a few years too, and I do wonder if Pauline expected that. Those who know Pauline know she is was a firm and passionate member of the left, and was perhaps surprised that she found herself working in Alex's office, but they formed a very close friendship too, and a commitment and a passion for the work Alex was doing on the NDIS. His office, his staff would say that their office was a family, which is testament to Alex as a boss and as a person. He could be gruff, yes, but he was a good and warm man, and when you were in the fold, when you were in the family with Alex, you knew it deeply. And I don't think I've ever, in my time in politics, not just as a senator, but for the many years I've been around politics before, I don't think I've ever seen an office as close and connected as Alex's were and as loyal to their senator. And I want to acknowledge them because this has been a really tough time. All of his staff stuck with him as he was sick and right up to the end. They believed in what Alex was doing too. They knew the man so well and they believed in what he was doing. Alex had another work family as well, and that's his family at his beloved union, the Transport Workers Union. And I know Ian Smith and Alex's friends at the TWU are watching these proceedings now live in Adelaide. Indeed, under the sign of the Alex Gallacher Training Centre, fitting monument for a man who made an incredible contribution to that union and all of the people that that union represents, all of the values that that union represents. I know everyone at the TWU will feel this loss deeply because when Alex left the TWU to become a senator, he never walked away from those he served with. He was always there, always providing support, always there to those who needed him. And one of the amazing things about Alex was he really believed in people. When he believed in people, he helped them. He gave them active support, active mentoring, active encouragement. If you had Alex in your corner, you knew it. And even when things were tough, even when you doubted yourself, Alex would be there backing you and pulling you up, sometimes really gruffly, quite aggressively, but if he believed in you, he would make sure you did your best. I will miss Alex deeply. This place will not ever be the same for me without him. I want to make a personal reflection here. Alex was a formidable figure, and in my childhood, his name loomed large. Alex was once my father's adversary, but he became a close and valued friend of me and my family. It's really easy in politics to make simple assessments of people, one-dimensional assessments of people. Alex never did that. He certainly never did it of me. He didn't do it of others in this chamber, even when people were often quick to make simple assessments of him, one-dimensional assessments of him. And I am so grateful that he is a man who judged people on their substance and judged me on my substance and gave me his firm support very early on in my career here in this place, and indeed when I was seeking to enter this place. And when I entered the Senate, his support continued. He has guided me throughout my journey here. He has always been generous with his feedback to me. I was scrolling through some messages earlier. Alex used to text me often after my speeches to make sure I had the benefit of his experience and wisdom in this place. Some of those critiques were always sharp. He, of course, hated speeches being read. He hated speeches being too polished, but he liked speeches which didn't miss anything or anyone, and they're Alex's words. Alex... When I was going through my messages from Alex in preparation for today, there were a few which stood out for me, messages he sent me of encouragement and support. He sent me a text defining our role. He said to me, "Your job is to be different, Marielle. It's to be authentic and to be credible. It's to let people see you, to believe every word that you say." Alex was authentic. You knew it. It was very good advice. He also gave me the advice, keep your eye on the main game, and most importantly in this place, be yourself. Alex was his self. Alex never had to support me, but he did. He mentored me in the ways of this place. Some of those lessons I will keep with me. Some of those I might disregard because our styles are pretty different, but I will always value the things he taught me and the lessons he tried to impart. But Senator Stoker, I promise I won't be on my feet if there's notes used in this place. Alex loved Paola deeply. On more than one occasion, I would hear him recount when he was summing up his view on one individual or another. Paola has good judgment. If she thinks someone is decent, then they're okay with me. Paola was the boss. One of the last social moments I had with Alex was not long after my daughter Zara was born, and Alex and Paola came to visit Clint and I at our home to deliver my son Benjamin another truck, which Alex was always prone to do. He wanted my son to be a truck man and not a bus man. It's very important, Senator Wong. But they also brought a teddy bear for my daughter, and there was a bit of a discussion and debate between Alex and Paola because Paola wanted the bear to go on a shelf and to be preserved and kept pristine so that when Zara is older, she could look at the bear and have that memory and have that special thing from her childhood. And Alex was vehemently opposed to this. The bear was for cuddling, the bear was for playing, the bear was for using, and it just summed up to me Alex's, a part of Alex's personality. So I'm sorry, Paola, but the bear is coming off the mantelpiece and it will be used and cuddled and loved. It feels quite indulgent in a way to talk about how much we will all miss Alex and how much we loved him. Because, of course, those who miss him will be, those who missed him the most and will miss him the most are his family, those that he loved the most and who love him the most. His wife, Paola, his children, Ian, Caroline, Terry and Frank, his children-in-law, Sinead, Ian's wife, and Tammy, Terry's partner, his grandchildren, Connor, Lachlan and Mia. I want to thank you for sharing the man that you loved with this place for so long. It's never without sacrifice. And his achievements, his legacy belong to you and your family as well. I hope you are so proud of what your husband, what your father, what your grandfather achieved here. I hope you're so proud of the words that are being spoken about him. We should never be one-dimensional or simplistic in our assessment of people who choose to do this role. Alex was a complicated and complex character, but he was a great man. He was a fiercely intelligent man. He worked tirelessly in this place for the values that he held dear. I hope you are so proud of his achievement. We are all so proud of his achievements. I know you will all continue to carry Alex's memory in your hearts, and I want you to know that his colleagues here in the Senate from all sides of politics will continue to carry that memory too. And we will also continue on with the work which meant so much to Alex. Rest in peace, Alex, friend, Senator.